Hello and welcome to the Indianapolis Housing Market Update. I am Jordan Moody with Moody & Company and Keller Williams, and this is
Bryan Arnold with Listing Indy at Keller Williams, and we're here to talk about why Indy. You may have seen in the news and on Zillow or Bigger Pockets, which is a national real estate investor podcast, that Indy is one of the hottest markets in the country. And we want to dive into why. I get calls all the time from out-of-state investors, and so does Jordan. And I want to help my friends be able to invest here in Indy and be confident in that investment. So getting right into it, I mean, Indy's got one of the lowest cost of livings in the country for a large metro area. So Indianapolis is the 13th largest city in the country. Most people don't think of it as that. And we also have a strong job market. So we're anchored by Lilly, Roche, Salesforce, Cummins, Allison Transmissions. So a lot of large companies base their headquarters here. And, you know, Lilly and Roche, those are both healthcare industry leaders in pharmaceuticals, and those are inelastic goods. So people are going to pay for that no matter what the price is. You know, if it costs more, they're going to pay it to be healthy. And so it's nice to have Lilly being our largest state employer because their goods are inelastic. And so beyond that, we also are our proximity to other major hubs. We are called the Crossroads of America for a reason. You know, we're an hour and a half from Louisville, an hour and a half from Cincinnati. We're 3 hours from Chicago, 4 hours from Detroit, 3.5 hours from St. Louis. We're 4 hours to Nashville, 5 hours to Cleveland. So we are super close to a lot of other major economic hubs in the United States. And for those reasons, Indy is growing.
Yeah, I love that. And what Brian's talking about with the strong job market, when investors call us and they're thinking about investing in Indianapolis, one thing that we always look at is what we call anchors, which is what Brian is referring to, which is large businesses that are employing a lot of people, healthcare, hospitals, those kinds of things. Also nice downtown spaces that have restaurants and walkability and all those kinds of things. And so Indy has so much to offer on that front. And from a cost of living standpoint, as Brian was saying, we looked, and as ranked by U.S. News, Indiana is the 13th state in housing affordability and 19th across the nation as far as the cost of living goes as well, which transitions me really well into housing affordability and what that looks like on the investing side as well. So the U.S. Census Bureau has the average national home price at $522,000.
That is insane. So that's more than the average home price in Hamilton County, which is the most desirable place in the Indianapolis metro area.
Yeah, that's correct. And also, if we think about what is the average, or I should say median, single-family home price in Indy or Indianapolis, and that number is $258,000, which is literally half the national average.
Yeah, so that automatically, right on its face value, is going to attract people to Indy.
Yeah, that's right. And so we talked about some of those staple businesses and companies around Indy. So the median household income around Indiana is around $70,000. So if we do the math on that, that puts us around 27% of household income being contributed towards housing right now. And if we look at that and compare it against the national average, the National Association of Home Builders has a U.S. median household income at 38%. So we're over 10%, less.
Yeah, so when you're spending 38% of your income towards rent or mortgage, that is a lot of your net income that you take home. So Indianapolis being at 27%, that's actually in line with historical averages. Over the last 50 years, people typically spend 27% of their income on housing. And so we are right in line with those historical trends, which again makes Indy a great place to want to invest or move to.
Yeah, and what does that mean? It means they're keeping money in their pocket that they can invest into the community. They're spending it at restaurants. They're going to Pacers games and Colts games and, all kinds of things like that help stimulate the economy around Indianapolis, which is something we're going to get into in a little bit about all the unique offerings about Indianapolis. But while we're talking about affordability, let's talk about investing in particular, because Bryan and I both have clients that are either out-of-state investors or local investors, and Indy has a great market for it. So a few of the reasons why, and I'll explain that. The median rent across Marion County, I did a search just now to check over the last 30 days, for a single-family home was around $1,600 per month. You can find single-family homes in Marion County from $150,000 to $250,000 that will cash flow and meet the 1% rule. And you will not find that in most markets. Am I right?
No, you will not find that in most markets. And, funny story, my sister just moved to Bellevue from Indy, Bellevue, Washington. And I think she's renting a house for $9,000 a month. And that property was listed for $3.7 million. I don't even know how that $9,000 covers the taxes on that property alone. So when you look at what the rule is that you want to cash flow an investment property, Indy meets those criteria and those buy boxes for a lot of investors to have that long-term goal of passive income and creating that passive income cash flow for you.
Yeah, and I'll dumb it down and we'll talk about what that 1% rule is for people that may not know. So, for example, in Indy, you might be able to buy a home, or I shouldn't say might, you can buy a home, let's say for $180,000. Once that is closed, you get it cleaned up and ready to go, you should be able to rent that property out for $1,800 a month. That's 1% of the purchase price per month. And that is definitely doable in our market that we really don't see elsewhere. I don't know if we want to talk about cap rates, but we've seen some pretty impressive numbers over the past few years, and I think we're heading into a market here soon where there's going to be a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, so before the housing boom in 2019, 2020, COVID happened, and I think a lot of people reevaluated where they wanted their life to go, and were sitting at home and, hey, how do I stop working? And so a lot of people wanted to generate cash flow, and they started investing in real estate. Well, back in 2020, you could throw a dartboard at Indianapolis, hit it, and any property was going to, generate a cash flow of 10 to 14%, or a cap rate of 10 to 14%. Now it's a lot harder, and it's gotten a lot harder in other parts of the country, as Jordan alluded to. Most people are spending 38% of their household income towards housing. Well, here in Indianapolis, it's much cheaper, and that cheaper rate is going to generate more revenue for investors. And so the Midwest in general, people are targeting, because you could still hit those cap rates that you're looking for. That 8% rate is still achievable here, where in a lot of other parts of the country, you'd be better off putting your money in just a general money market account, making 4% with your local bank.
Yeah, and one of the reasons, too, that Indy is unique, or the Midwest maybe more generally speaking, is it's very insulated. If you look at the coastal markets and you think of Austin, Texas, and Florida and California, insurance is completely pulled out of a lot of those states, right? So insurance is absolutely through the roof. Climate change and, hurricanes, all these things that are affecting those areas are making it very difficult for investors to, pencil deals and make it work there, whereas in the Midwest, we are insulated. We're not seeing the big swings in prices. Like, we didn't see crazy growth and crazy fall off in pricing over the last few years. Yes, we had double-digit, home appreciation during the pandemic, obviously, but those prices have remained relatively flat, or at 1 to 2% growth over the last year or so. And you don't see that in other countries. Austin is at double-digit decreases in value, and a lot of other coastal cities are seeing that.
Yeah. I mean, well, we saw a large appreciation, but so did the rest of the country. So
right.
When we saw appreciation of 20% in a year, Austin in 1 year saw 60% appreciation. So that was unsustainable, and just a slight fluctuation in affordability or the job landscape can really decimate a market. And, when you saw rates go up to 7%, it decimated Austin, because houses that were 400,000 and then the next year they're 650, that same house, well, that 7% rate really changes people's math on what they can afford in terms of a house.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bryan, tell us a little bit about where Indy is today.
Well, Indy, as I alluded to earlier, is growing very rapidly. And so I like digging into the data. I mean, Indianapolis, the suburbs, you have every county surrounding, the 9 counties surrounding Marion County, which is also growing, by the way, are growing at a rate of 1 to 3%. And 2 of those cities in particular are growing at a greater than 7% year-over-year growth rate, and that's Westfield and Whitestown. And those are in the top 10 in the country. Beyond that, you have some of the most desirable places. I think U.S. News and World Report put 5 Indianapolis suburbs within the top 100, and 4 of those were within the top 10, and I think those are all in Hamilton County. I think it was Westfield, Noblesville, Carmel, and Fishers. Zionsville may have been in there as well. So the amount of growth in Indy and the desirability to want to live here is what really piques my interest in the investment in the Indianapolis area. And clearly other people across the country are thinking the same thing. I think Zillow put us as the number 2 hottest market in the country. And that's a big reason why, population growth. Because when I look at a long-term investment, I want to know that my investment's going to appreciate, and population growth shows there's a desirability, and when there's a desirability, well, that increases the demand, and then the supply needs to catch up, or otherwise prices are going to naturally rise, which is why we are still increasing when other places across the country are seeing decreases.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why that is, our state's motto is we are a state that works, and so we are a very business-friendly environment for bigger businesses to come into the state and put their facilities here. What Bryan's saying is true across the board, and there's even bigger growth coming in a lot of areas too. Right now, there's a big the LEAP project is what they're calling it in Boone County right now, which is kind of near the Lebanon, west side of Lebanon. And Lilly and Meta are opening plants and moving their headquarters. Lilly's moving their headquarters out there. And so there's so much growth. Even, we're talking about 1 to 3% annually, which is phenomenal, but think about what that growth is going to look like over the next 5 years, and that area specifically as well, with all of that industry coming in. So let's pivot a little bit and talk about why Indy, let's talk about some fun stuff, right? Why are people coming to Indy right now and investing here and living here, et cetera?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons. Obviously I'm a big Indy homer. I live here. I do believe in the city. We have 3 professional sports teams. We got the Indianapolis Colts. We got the Heart Attack Pacers. We got Caitlin Clark and the Fever. We're potentially going to be getting an MLS team. So for the economic impact downtown, that really brings a lot of money into the state. It's also it's a big, small city. So it's easy to get to. So when you get here, the airport's always voted one of the easiest to commute through in the whole country. So people that are coming here, they like coming here because when they get here, it's so easy to get here. It's not like in LA or Chicago or New York where you got to go. All the sporting events are spread out, or all the conventions are spread out. Once you get downtown, you're downtown, which is why it attracts a lot of events. We just had the women's All-Star game here. We've had the NBA All-Star game here. We have the Big Ten. Comic-Con just was here. The Big Ten championships here for.
Oh yeah, Final Four.
Yeah, the Final Four's coming next spring. So we are one of those cities that's uniquely positioned to be able to house those large events and do so in a manner where everyone has a great time, and it's just so easy to do it. So the downtown just really attracts a lot of that.
Which on the sports teams, by the way, just FYI, the Fever won the Commissioner's Cup, didn't they?
I think so.
Yeah, and the Pacers were in the NBA Finals and would have obviously won. had Halliburton's ACL or what was it? Achilles tore.
Yeah, Game 7. That was brutal.
It was brutal to watch.
Lost a big bet on that.
I bet you did. So anyway, not your scrubby, pro teams, but we're in it. So that's kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, and you alluded to earlier. I mean, even when you look at climate change, towards the future, whether you believe in climate change or not, or how it's manufactured, whether it's man-made, whether it's not, it's happening, and costs are going up. Costs for labor, costs of materials are going up, and so when you look at places like Florida, like California with fires, like the Southwest with heat that is going to, be more and more difficult to have the energy to be able to produce for these cities to combat 120, 130 degree days. You look at Indy, and it's just really well insulated. I mean, we're within hours of 20% of the world's fresh water supply in the Great Lakes. And so when I look at a lot of reasons of why Indy, it just makes sense for all the reasons that we just talked about. I mean, the proximity to other economic hubs, the strong job market, the low cost of living here, the population growth, and all the things that the city has to offer. Even just traffic. You look at the traffic here versus other major cities. I mean, people come here and are like, "Oh my gosh, I can be 30 miles away and get there in 30 minutes." I mean, it is
a geographical oddity, 30 minutes from everywhere, right?
Yes. So for a lot of reasons, Indy just makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, and the airport. We haven't talked a lot about that, but it is a phenomenal airport, right?
Yep, phenomenal airport, and they're putting a new $500 million luxury hotel right outside of it. They're building, I believe, the Pan Am Plaza where the minor league for the Chicago Blackhawks used to play, the Indiana Ice, now called the Indiana Fuel, is down at Pan Am Plaza. I believe they're almost done with that $2 billion new luxury hotel, again, to be able to host a higher-end clientele for large events.
Yeah, and then two other things I definitely wanted to touch on. As far as downtown Indy, or I shouldn't say downtown, but Marion County in general and Indianapolis Metro, there's so many nice little pockets within the downtown space. You've got Mass Ave, you've got Broad Ripple, Irvington, all these different small areas where they're their own city within a city. It has walkability, restaurants, all those kinds of nice things. And then we also have the suburbs surrounding, like your Greenwood, Zionsville, Carmel, Noblesville, Westfield, all these other markets around here where they have phenomenal public schools and incredible offerings that make it a destination for anyone. It's great for families and great for investors alike. So, I mean, those are most of the things that I really wanted to go through. Bryan, what else do you have to add as far as why Indy?
As far as that goes, I have a lot of people that come here, and these suburbs are very desirable. As we talked about, some of the best affordability across the country. The median house price in Hamilton County is, I believe, $450,000, and the national average for housing is $522,000. So one of the most desirable places to live in the state is cheaper than, on average, what the median house costs across the country. And comes with that is good schools that are highly ranked. And so people come here and are like, I can move to Indy and not have to send my kid to private school and get these great schools, and my house is going to be cheaper, and my property taxes are cheaper. Like, this just makes so much sense, which is why you're seeing so many people move from, I've helped many buyers from Texas move here, and from California, and from Washington, and from Florida, because it's just so much cheaper. Your money goes so much further, and what you get here, when people get here, they're like, oh, this is Indy? I can get all this? Sign me up.
Yeah. A vibrant city life, and a great place to invest and a great place to live. So, well, thank you for tuning in with us. We're excited to cover our next topic, so be sure to hop in on the next podcast. So thanks for hopping in, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Yes, thanks for listening.